me sitting on the car edge.
All right, we're going to be waiting a few seconds for all of you to join us. Give a little bit more time. So we're at Jeffrey's man cave right here, displaying with his not only his Super Trofeo Huracan is on the truck heading to Coda right now, but he also has this beautiful Gallardo Super Trofeo. So we'll go back. Hey Spencer, how you doing? We'll go back on the cars a little later, but let's get started with Jeffrey right here, our champion. So if you want to come have a seat, we'll get started right there. A few trophies right there. All good. All right, Jeffrey. So first of all, congratulations on a great start on the Super Trofeo at VIR. First race for you and first podiums, not only once, but 3 times. Can you give us a little bit about your experience and your expectations first and what came out of it?
Well, I certainly didn't know what to expect. I've never been to VIR before, and I had no idea what I had an idea of what the series was like from having attended the Watkins Glen race a few weeks prior, but to actually participate as a driver was a whole different experience. So I really didn't have any particular expectations one way or the other. My main goal going there was to really stay out of trouble as much as possible, and to learn from my co-driver, who originally was going to be James, but due to some back injuries, we had to call in our reserve driver to fly in from California, Matt Halliday, and Matt took over driving duties for James. Matt is a very seasoned driver, and he was an excellent coach for me, and really helped me a lot. So as I said, my goal was mainly to just stay out of everyone's way, try to do the best job I could, and learn from Matt, learn the ropes, and the results were secondary to just having a good weekend. And the results were a pleasant surprise, and we didn't expect that, but we certainly welcomed it. And in light of the fact that there was quite a few incidents on track during the 3 races, we were fortunate to come away relatively unscathed and finish in the top 10 in all 3 races. So.
Very good, very good. So we have somebody that's asking, how's your neck feeling?
Actually, my neck is okay. It was a little sore, but fortunately the seats have, the OMP seats are very good, and they have a lot of side helmet support on each side, so you have a little bit of neck pain, but not that much actually.
Good, good, good. So would you do anything different what would you do different if you could go back on your first race?
Well, my first race, actually, we started towards the back of the pack due to an unfortunate situation in our qualifying. We had a strategy, or I should say Matt had a strategy to allow all the cars to go out ahead of us, and then for us to wait a few laps. I'm not even sure actually why we did that, but then Matt went out to set his flyer and actually only had the opportunity to do 2 or 3 laps before there was a red flag due to an incident, and that essentially left us with no time to try to improve. And so we started 17th, which was not bad, because starting towards the back, it's not as much of a scramble as the front. So my first race actually, was pretty clean and straightforward. There was one situation with the first race which worked in my favor, in that there's only 1 lap to warm the tires, and as the field bunches up coming around the last corner to take the green flag, I was not close enough to the car in front of me. I was probably 10 car lengths back, because the field started to accelerate very quickly, and you have to stay on the car in front of you on their rear bumper, you know, and I was caught off guard with that. But fortunately, they didn't throw the green flag because the first 2 cars were not lined up. So we had another pace lap, and this time I was prepared, fortunately, for the start. The thing I would change was the second race, where the qualifying position was dictated by the fastest lap from the first race, which Matt was able to set the 6th fastest time. So I had to start race number 2 on the 3rd row in 6th position, and that's where all the fast guys are. So that was a little bit crazy, and in order to try to stay with the group, I braked a little bit too late and went a little bit too far off to the edge of the track. It did not go off, but was subsequently passed by about 10 cars. So I ended up back in 16th or 17th position, where I'm comfortable, and started my race from there in race number 2. But in that particular race, we actually did better, and we had a few cars drop out, and finished 5th overall and 2nd in class. So that was our best race. Worst start, but best race, best result.
So another question is, what is your so hey, Sam asked, hey, congrats, how do you become a driver?
Well, I mean, I guess there's lots of ways to become a driver. First of all, you know, I say to anybody who asks me about where I started with a driving school, like a Skip Barber or a Bob Bondurant, and that's where I first learned the basics of driving. And I had also done quite a bit of go-karting at a younger age. But I'm certainly not a professional driver. I'm more of a gentleman driver. I don't do it as a career, but even if you don't do it as a career, you still have to learn the basics, and you're driving with other guys who do it as a career and are professionals, so you certainly don't want to you know, be in their way or do anything that could be dangerous, you know, to the other people on track with you. So I would say that for anyone starting out, the best thing to do is to go to one of the established driving schools around the country and start there, and then eventually work into smaller series. There are a lot of them that range from Mazda Miatas all the way up.
Perfect, very good. All right, let's take a little tour, because you have a fun collection right here, and I'm sure a lot of guys will be interested. So maybe you want to take us one by one, car by car. So first, let's take a look at the trophies here. So 2 3-spot finishes, and that's silver right
well,
there.
as you can see from the trophies, 2 of them are VIR, and 1 actually says Watkins Glen. The one we finished 2nd at Watkins Glen was a makeup race from Watkins Glen because it was rained out. The 2nd race was rained out, so we made that up at VIR. So the trophy, even though I didn't race at Watkins Glen,
it still
says Watkins Glen.
Right.
To VIR.
So somebody is asking, how do you set up your car?
Well, don't ask me that, because I know next to nothing in terms of the technical side of it. That is all GMG, the team that supports me, and they have all the, you know, technical knowledge to set the car up. I can only tell them what the car is doing, and then they can fix it. You know, if it's understeering or oversteering, or the brakes are you know, doing certain things, then I just convey that to the techs, and then they make the changes as needed. So I'm not qualified, not being a professional driver, to say, hey, you know, add more camber or do this or do that. My pro driver, Matt, he was able to make suggestions during the setup process, and I just drove the car.
Very good. All right, so take a look. Let's take a look at cars you have. Maybe you want to say a little word on each one of them. Let's start with the Super Trofeo Gallardo.
Well, the Super Trofeo Gallardo is actually what started the whole Super Trofeo experience. This car was for sale for a number of years at Lamborghini Newport Beach, and it's the last brand new, unraced, uncrashed, untarnished Gallardo Super Trofeo in the world. And I ended up buying the car simply because I thought it would be a fun track car to use, and that initiated the conversation about the series, and then I was originally thinking of campaigning the Gallardo in the series, since the car is still being campaigned this year in its own class. But then I thought, since it was the last brand new Gallardo Super Trofeo in the world, that I probably would prefer to keep it that way. So it sits here as a collectible, if you will.
Perfect. So next we have something that is a little bit more well, radical. It says on it. Tell us about it.
This is a Radical RXC, which is actually street legal, and most people cannot believe that. It is the only street legal Radical RXC in California.
So let me show the license plate quickly, because people won't believe it. There you have it, a street legal Radical. So was it complicated to get it street legal?
It was. I had to walk it literally step by step through all the various agencies to get it to be street legal. Radical created this as one of their new race cars with the intention of building a race version, track version, as well as a street version. And the differences are really down to the interior and the setup, suspension and whatnot, you know, to make it obviously more user-friendly on the street versus a track. But this is probably your ultimate go to the track day car, because you could drive it to the track and then drive it on the track and then drive it home. And it certainly looks like it belongs on the track. So driving this on the street is really quite an experience, because you know, people look at you if you're in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, but when they see this thing going down the freeway, they almost lose their mind. They don't know what they're looking at. It looks like you missed the turn to the track somewhere.
Nice. Next you have 12C, McLaren 12C with a Vorsteiner body kit, correct?
Right. This is a McLaren 12C with the Vorsteiner kit, which is the front bumper, rear bumper, side skirts and wheels.
We'll go around the
McLaren is an excellent car, but the one thing that I felt it was lacking was definitely visually. It was too soft of a car. It looked like it spent too much time in the wind tunnel. And when Vorsteiner came out with the kit, it really transformed the aggressiveness of the car. You take a look at the rear, that's probably the best part of the car.
So let's go check it out, and let's remember Vorsteiner is your main sponsor for your racing in Super Trofeo. Yeah, very aggressive back.
And Vorsteiner, they produce body kits for a number of high performance cars, and we're very happy to have them on board as a sponsor of the team.
Very good. All right, here we have something that it's become very, very prized lately. It's been going up in value, and they're being harder and harder to get a hold of. So
yeah, it's the 2011 GT3 RS 3.8, and probably needs no introduction. It's definitely become more collectible in recent years. In fact, all the GT3s and the GT3 RSs have become more collectible. This example only has 1,900 miles on it, so it's going to be a real collector car, in the years to come, or continue to appreciate, I should say.
Nice. So here we have another Porsche, another collectible item, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. The Carrera GT needs really no introduction. It probably became even more famous with the Paul Walker incident. As many people know, this is a car that unfortunately Paul Walker passed away in. I've owned this car the longest of all my cars. I've had this car for 10 years now, and everything they say about it is true. It's definitely a handful to drive, but the characteristics of it being so raw are what, you know, really give it its you know, character, if you will. The driving experience is very, very rewarding if you don't
know what you're
overdrive it, I should say. You know, and it's really the last of the great manual stick shift cars that, you know, really have no driver aids involved.
Very nice, black on black, beautiful one. So next we have something that's a little bit more colorful. Tell us about this one.
This is one of only 40 Lamborghini LP670 SVs in the U.S. and this happens to be one of one in Verde Ithaca. Only one Verde Ithaca LP670 SV was imported to the U.S. and I was fortunate enough to find it. This is probably one of my favorite cars to drive, simply because of the sound it makes. You know, Lamborghinis are known for a really, really high-pitched F1 note, and so if you add an exhaust to this car, which I have, it's a pleasure to drive whether you're going 10 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour.
Very cool. All right, next we have something pretty rare in here.
Yeah, this is one of only 14 Koenigsegg's in the United States, and so it's not likely that you'll see many of them on the street. It's a Koenigsegg CCX, and it's a Swedish car, and it's part of a class of cars they refer to as hypercars, and that's really probably cars that are, you know, over $1 million or extremely powerful and extremely fast, and, you know, limited quantities. And I think Koenigsegg has only built 100 cars worldwide since the beginning, and a handful of these found their way here to the U.S. So I was fortunate to find this one about 4 years ago in the Seattle area.
Sam is asking about the Agera.
What about the Agera?
No Agera? Question mark?
I should say not yet, maybe. Yeah, the Agera is definitely an interesting car, but Koenigsegg has produced a couple of other cars that are interesting. That may be a possibility, but they're extremely expensive. So you have to think a little bit before considering acquiring one of those.
All right, here we have another British car after the McLaren. That's a Jaguar XG220.
Yes, only 275 of these were built worldwide between 1992 and 1994, and they were never officially imported to the United States. But a handful of them, maybe a dozen or so, found their ways to the U.S. through different programs, the show and display and whatnot. I know of 3 cars that were actually imported properly and then went through EPA DOT certification, and which was very expensive, and received all the necessary and proper documentation to become street legal in the U.S. And this is one of them. It has California plates, and as far as I know, there's only 2, this one and one other one, remaining in California that are California legal and plated cars. So again, it becomes extremely rare. You know, only a handful in the country and only a couple that are street legal in California.
All right, let me take a look around and I'll join you on the next one. All right, before we get there, we have someone that asked, what is the race car driver that you admire the most?
Ayrton Senna, without a doubt. I think he was absolutely the driver I grew up watching, and and I've watched numerous videos of him, and he undoubtedly is the driver that I believe is probably one of the best drivers ever to drive a race car.
All right, so what do we have here?
This is a Saleen S7 twin turbo. I believe about 80 of these cars were made total, 80 to 100, of which half of them were race cars, and the other half were street cars. And of the street cars, about 20 of them were twin turbos. And so it again is a rare car. It's arguably the only American supercar in existence, but now sort of that Ford GT is sort of filling those shoes where Steve Saleen left off. It's too bad that he only built, a few of these cars before selling his company, because, going back 10 years, if this car had continued to evolve in the last 10 years with all the technology today, it would be a tremendous car. I think it's a beautiful car. It doesn't drive that well, but it's really an American muscle car.
All right, right before we jump on the next one, somebody's asking, what's your favorite Lamborghini?
Right now it's the LP670 SV. I think that is by far my favorite car. I have
one that we have it there.
Yeah.
The green one right here.
I have not had the chance to drive the new Aventador SV, which I happen to have on order. And from what I hear, that could be my favorite car, Lamborghini.
Your new favorite Lamborghini.
Yeah.
All right, so let's close on the toys on this one.
This one doesn't really belong in the group, and people are often questioning why and what and where. It is the new Corvette Stingray Z06 with the Z07 package, and I'm a member of a racetrack called Spring Mountain Motorsports Ranch in Nevada, and they happen to be a GM track. All the cars there are Stingrays and Camaros. And so I had the opportunity to drive a number of Corvettes, starting with the normal Stingray all the way up to the Z06 on track. And I have to tell you that I was impressed beyond belief. The car is immensely capable and easily will outperform cars 2, 3, 4 times its value. And truly, if you took away the Chevrolet badge and you stuck Ferrari on it or something, it would be an amazing car. To a Ferrari guy, they would be impressed and love it. But, of course, Corvettes have always had some kind of, stigma attached to them as being the middle-aged, retiree's car or something like that. But it really is not that. It really is on its own merit, a fantastic car that you could drive daily as well as drive on the track. It's immensely rewarding, and for bang for the buck, it ranks up there in my opinion with the GTR at $100,000. Those two cars are probably the two best cars you could purchase for daily use as well as performance driving. So.
All right. Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much for showing us your collection. We're going to be heading down now to Lamborghini Newport Beach to watch your first race at VIR.
Okay. Great.
And we wish you good luck on the next race, which is at the end of this month, right?
It's next week.
Next week already.
Next week.
Cora, so
at Austin, right.
That should be fun.
So everyone tune in to the live feed if you have a chance, and wish us luck at Austin.
Sounds good. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.